With so many people moving to the Northwest for a variety of reasons, whether that's a new job, retirement, or to just enjoy our beautiful climate, not everyone understands the role agriculture plays in the region. Idaho is trying to be proactive, telling that story across the Gem State. Joining us on the PNW Ag Network hotline is Lance Zollinger. He and his wife co-chair the Idaho Farm Bureau Federation's Promotions and Education Committee. And Lance, thank you so much for the time. So what is the Promotions and Education Committee? What's its general mission?
Well, Farm Bureau's, Idaho Farm Bureau Federation mission is to try to make sure we're influencing effectively, primarily policy as it relates to lawmaking in Idaho. And one of the ways that we feel like we can go beyond that is to help educate and promote the general public about the importance of agriculture to Idaho. So our committee at the state level is made up of a chair, which is my wife and I, and then we have 5 districts that we have the state broken out into as we work toward supporting really the county level of the Farm Bureau effort throughout the state. So the 5 districts have counties within them, so all counties are covered. And so at our state committee, we have the chairs, and then each district is represented by an individual or a couple that represents their district in this area of promotion and education.
You know, Lance, Idaho is such an ag-heavy state, such a state dependent on ag. Why even do this? Why have this committee?
I think it's a great question. I have taken for granted most of my life the fact that what you say is true, that many people are already familiar. But what is also true is because this is such an awesome place to live, we're getting people from all over that are moving in. We're getting a growing population of people, a significantly growing population of people that are less aware of where their food comes from. Might just feel like the source is just the store and not understanding all that goes on before it gets there. So I think the growth is great. I love that people love the state as much as we do, but it is just getting less and less those who fully understand the power and importance of agriculture in the state of Idaho. And so we can't ever take for granted the fact that we're a quite rural state. We do need to work every day to help people understand the importance of ag.
I want to get back to something you said there just a couple of moments ago. How powerful, in your assessment, is ag in Idaho?
Well, I don't know if I have facts or numbers for you, but it's very significant. You know, I've lived in various places throughout the state of Idaho, and as you look at not just the producer level, but which is key and very important, but to all those organizations that support agriculture through offering production service, offering the production end products. As you look at that, the reach beyond producers is very significant, and you can start to look at the economic side of things and get a feel pretty quick. I think we would all be surprised on how many of our organizations are dependent upon production ag, even if they're not directly producing.
Lance, when you're out and about, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you come across when you're talking to people when it comes to agriculture in Idaho?
I think one of the primary ones for me is, what we do to produce is oftentimes misconstrued. As people look at large commercial agriculture, which is very important, but also the small family farm is very important. But as they look at agricultural producers of all kinds, misunderstanding could make people feel like maybe we're not good on the environment, or the way that we produce isn't ideal. I think the more people understand and know, they see that probably the most environmentalist type people are those of us that produce agricultural products, because we need the land and we need the different resources around us to make the farms and ranches successful. So That would be one common misconception, that again, once a person understands who we are and what we're about and how we produce, they find that we're the most environmentally friendly or conscious because of how we need it to make the things that we grow well. Beyond that, I think water is always a thing that's important. It's definitely an issue in our world as we produce products and need irrigation, and strive always to be very efficient in how we do that. But where there's competing priorities or competing demands on a resource like water, that sometimes could be misunderstood. And I think people need to understand what we're doing to try to conserve and use that resource very effectively as well. So those are a couple of examples amongst really many others on things that we want to make sure people understand. Or from a public policy perspective, we're very interested in helping our legislators understand the importance of the industry, so that as they're making laws and trying to balance the priorities of many different interest groups, that they always realize and understand that protecting agriculture will protect our state far into the future.
So what kind of reaction do you receive when you're talking about ag, whether it's with Joe Citizen, you're speaking at a public event, or maybe you're talking to one of those state politicians?
I would say that in my area, I might be a little limited in my understanding, but in my county here in Franklin County, as we talk about the importance of agriculture to the average consumer, or as we visit with people around the area, we actually get really good response. We once a year conduct a big Think of Farmer event here in our county, and we are amazed by how well supported that is. What we really like is, even if a person doesn't understand all the intricacies of what it takes to produce the products that we consume, if the public feels good about who they know and how we in agriculture do what we do, that positive feeling really speaks volumes at every level of interest. So we get good reaction as we talk about this throughout the state of Idaho. Thankfully, we do have a big enough stronghold in production agriculture that most people are very aware. But like I said, you go into different pockets. We just want to make sure that at very least people have a very good feeling as they interact with those of us in production ag.
So, Lance, what sort of events do you have coming up as we get ready to wrap up 2024 and even look ahead to 2025?
Here, as we approach December, I think a major opportunity for people to engage with us at a deep level is we have an annual meeting that's coming up. It's an annual thing that we do for the whole Farm Bureau membership. But on the front end of that annual meeting, we'll be holding what we call a fusion conference, where all of our people that are deeply invested in and focusing on helping us do good work in this area of promotion and education are going to gather, along with another program area that we have in the Farm Bureau, which is a program focused on the young farmers and ranchers. We're going to all get together to talk about what we've learned are the most effective ways to promote and educate about agriculture throughout the state, and then also talk about some of the strategies that we can put into place to be even more effective in this. And so they're coming up in December in Boise. The first week of December, we'll be holding that Fusion Conference. And then in addition to that, on our website, Idaho Farm Bureau website, we are continually adding items to a calendar of promotion and education events that happen throughout the districts and more importantly, throughout the counties of our state.
Len Zollinger with the Idaho Farm Bureau Federation's Promotions and Education Committee. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the PNW Ag Network.